everybody, and welcome to the Boopcast number 25. Jerry's startled because they were just quiet for a while. They're waiting for me to start. We are your hosts, SheNoob and...
Cory.
And hello, klutzy sadist. Cinder, is that you? Hello, William. Welcome to the podcast. This week we have on our very special guest, the one and only Jeremiah George.
Hello. Hi.
Now
Hello.
with
Nice
video.
to be here. No, with last year I didn't have a video. I don't know why. I think I was either shy or just
I
don't know.
said your room was a mess.
That was it.
Yeah.
But now I'm not in my room. Progress. And actually, I've got people sleeping in my room at the moment. Actually, because I've got people staying over, so I've had to revert downstairs.
Fair enough. Yes, so for anybody watching who might not have any idea who you are, but anyway, could you explain a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Cool. So I go by Jeremiah George, sometimes I'm Tricky, but mostly Jeremiah George. You may know me as the guy who makes orchestral battle arrangements of a lot of the RWBY soundtrack. I started off by doing This Will Be the Day, and that got a lot of traction, and then I went on to do more of the soundtracks from season volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4. So I've done a large number, I'd say over 10, maybe 15, I don't know, 10, 15 pieces for the RWBY soundtrack, all arranged in an orchestral battle RPG style of music. And that's what I do. That's what people in the RWBY community know me for. Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of my stuff sounds like Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I see that.
So if you like Kingdom Hearts and you like RWBY, oh yeah, definitely. So if you like Kingdom Hearts and you like RWBY, do check my stuff out if you can.
Please do. His work is amazing, and I have used his music in videos before. In fact, I use your music in the Weissbreaker. I think I messaged you.
Did you? Oh, I didn't.
I use your This Life Is Mine battle arrangement for the Weissbreaker. Yes.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's the one.
There's so many Weiss songs, it's like, which one?
Alrighty, so chapter 10 of volume 5. So after the flop that was chapter 9, this chapter was extremely gratifying. I know,
yes.
Thank God. It was so good. It was the chapter we were waiting for. It was what chapter 9 should have been. But yes.
It's what chapter 9, 8, and 7 should have been, honestly, but
it's true.
There you go.
I feel like this half of RWBY, the first half of RWBY, every chapter really stood on its own very well. But this half, specifically chapters 7, 8, and 9, I feel like will be much better to watch as one sort of cohesive, like back
when
to
you're
back,
watching it all in one
back to
chunk.
back. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. But watching it week to week was stressful and unsatisfying at times as well. It kind of reminded me of Volume 1 when they were giving us 3-minute episodes that we waited a week for, but at least they're longer, but still, you know, alright. We've crapped on enough about Chapter 9. Let's talk about Chapter 10. So, Cory's taken the reins because I once again don't have notes because I'm disorganized.
No.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Yes. So, chapter 10 starts with the conversation between Oz and Crow, and they were discussing the huntsman disappearing. And the thing I thought was kind of weird in the whole conversation was, does anybody else kind of think that they implied that other huntsmen killed those huntsmen? Or that, like,
what they were implying.
To me, it implied that either what you said, Cory, or that they fell to darkness or fell under the influence of Salem.
Or Salem's followers killed them. Yeah.
Yeah.
The kinds of vibes I was getting.
Yeah, not that you just kick the bucket randomly.
Yeah. Because, like Crow said, huntsmen don't just kick the bucket randomly all at once like that. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Hello, Christine, welcome. Hello, Unicorn, welcome. Yeah, I was wondering the same thing about Ruby's silver eyes. Like, she hasn't even brought it up to Oz, who was the first person who even mentioned it to her.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to why she's not curious.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't seem to be, anyway.
She hasn't asked enough questions.
No,
it's like, yeah, you have ruby, you have green, blue, was it grey, silver? You have silver eyes, and it's like, oh, cool, right, great, and then that's it.
William says, "What's that, Beck? Speak up! Someone's opening chips."
My bad, sorry. It was Jelly Babies. I wanted to open it because I really wanted some, and I hoped it wasn't loud. I apologize.
I have sour lollies this morning. I started working in a lolly shop this week, so what the hell was I about to say?
Something about silver eyes?
Yeah,
Silver eyes.
so, yeah, I'm just really curious as to why Ruby hasn't asked more questions, especially considering how in this chapter specifically they showed the observational side of Ruby, and she was asking questions about the relics and the maidens, but the one big thing that could actually be their distinct advantage in this entire thing, her freaking silver eyes, hasn't been brought up once. And I'm just like, what? Why?
I feel like they're not going to use. I feel like they're not going to bring it up again until she uses it again.
I feel like I agree. I feel like she might bust them out during the Fall of Haven, accidentally, like she did last time, but with less dire consequences, I think.
I think that she'll probably start asking questions once she sees Cinder again. Because all she knows is that she did something to Cinder and the dragon, but she doesn't know what.
She doesn't.
And now,
really
and maybe
understand.
once she sees Cinder, maybe that'll do something. But yeah, I agree. When this scene started and she was going to ask questions, I was like, silver eyes, silver eyes, silver eyes. And that was like, or more relic talk.
Which reminds me, speaking of the relics, right? That whole scene proved to be like a very, like, that scene lent on the fourth wall to me a bit, because it was like, oh,
yes.
By the way, my cane is not a relic, and this is like, lol, okay, like, you just debunked the theory like everyone's been talking about.
Yeah. And they have been doing that a lot this volume as well, I've noticed.
They have.
Because, like, some of the things the characters are saying sound like they're directed at the audience. Like,
Yeah,
literally
definitely.
just like, stop theorizing this because you're wrong, kind of thing.
Yeah.
No,
I also kind of
like, okay, fine, fair enough.
I know. I agree. It was kind of like, okay, they're just confirming that, but like I feel like it was something they didn't need to.
Yeah, it was a bit on the nose.
Like they could have just talked about. They could have just shown the beacon relic at some point and been like, see, this is it, not his cane, like.
And it was cute the way that they did it though, with like Ruby being like, I have no more questions now. I'm quieter than normal because my mother is asleep in the next room because she's on night shift, so I don't want to wake her. Yeah, so I forgot what I was going to say again.
What was I say?
That's right. We got another confirmation about the relic of choice in that it is still at Beacon Academy, and we were talking about this last week. But Osmond said that he made it a bit more difficult to find, and we were discussing this last week. Like he wouldn't just keep it in some vault that's like in plain sight. He's Osmond. He would have made it very, very difficult to get to, which is why they haven't acquired it yet, which is a good thing. Anyway, but very astute of Ruby to point that out. Yeah, so I remember doing my reaction and the episode starting up at this scene. I was just like, duh! Like I got so frustrated because I was like, they know what we all want to see, but they're gonna keep us in suspense for as long as humanly possible. And yeah, Leo rings Crow during this scene.
Yeah.
and gives him the whole line about, oh, I've got you some huntsmen, come check this out, come meet me at my abode tomorrow night. And I'm like, yeah, okay. even they can't be dumb enough to see that this is not see that this is a trap.
Oh yeah.
Because they're not, thank God they're not stupid. I mean, like, the characters have done some stupid shit before, walking right into the enemy's hands, playing right into their hands, but at least in this instance they are smart enough to realise that Leo is squirrely.
I never thought they were going to buy it. No. You can't just ring up Crow and be like, oh yeah, I found some huntsmen for you, and together we can fight. And it's like, lol, we just found out they're all dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
where did you
I'm not buying it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like Ozpin says, that sounds radically different from the last time you spoke to him. And it's like, yeah,
exactly.
That's because he's full of shit.
Complete opposite.
Yeah. So at least they're smart enough to, but I still feel like they're going to go there and they're still going to fall into the trap.
Yeah. But if they're expecting something, hopefully they are more prepared. I don't know.
I'm wondering what Oscar's place is going to be in all of this. Like, are they going to bring him along? Like, what's the story there? Because I know Ozpin doesn't want to reveal himself just yet, because Oscar is still a pipsqueak, so his vessel isn't.
And Ozpin is meant to be dead.
Exactly, and his vessel isn't exactly strong enough to take on foes like Cinder and even Emerald and Mercury. He would not stand a chance against. Yeah, that's true. They are more prepared than Ranger was for Tyrion's ambush. They do have more warning than that, but they're up against much more significant foes.
Yeah.
Multiple foes, even.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, I'm just wondering where Oscar's gonna sit in all of this. And they said that Leo wants them to come around tomorrow night, which we know is the date of the White Fang attack, and it's literally the next day now.
On that note,
yes,
I know we're kind of fast forwarding through the episode, but if I may so you just said like how, within the timeline the attack is going to be tomorrow or something, right? Am I confused, or did I miss something, or are the different arcs within the season or this volume playing at different times?
Because Blake's story is 2 weeks behind them. Yes, I know. Mm-hmm. They said it at the end in Menagerie. They said it was 2 weeks until the attack. So yes, Blake's storyline has been behind significantly this entire time.
Yeah, because they even back to the beginning of the volume, like Ozpin and them were all talking about how it was 1 month until, but in Giro's speech you hear it was 2.
Yeah.
So there's always been, those 2 timelines have always been off, and I think it's because they have to account for Blake's travel time. Mm-hmm. But they want to keep the story paced well, so they're like, well, we're going to have to just keep them off.
Yes.
If they're going to do that, I think they could have explicitly made that clear. Instead of portraying it in a way where it just makes it seem like, oh, there's a flaw in the timeline, or the timeline's messed up, or
Yes, I do wish that they had been a bit more specific about it, instead of just having their characters say that there's different amounts of time until this big event, because it just created a bit of confusion. But now it's plainly obvious to us that the timelines are off from each other. Mm-hmm. And it's been a deliberate decision to do that. We'll talk more about where Blake's going to end up in the rest of the episode, but yeah. Not only did they have this scene at the beginning, but they had another scene after that, which I don't think any of us really needed, which was Leo and Raven. 2 of the people I am the least interested in seeing right now. Probably the 2 I'm least interested in. Maybe Leo, because we haven't seen him since chapter 2, but, like, I'm just so mad at him for being such a coward. Yeah, so we get this little scene between him and Raven, which I suppose is their way of telling us Raven's in Mistral. The question is, what is going to be her next move? Because we saw her go through her portal as a crow and then fly past Crow's window, and he totally saw her. He's not blind. So
Actually,
who knows
when
if
I
she's
rewatched
there.
that scene, the place that she came out at was at Haven Academy. Because at first I thought that, yeah, it was that she appeared out at Haven Academy, which I don't quite understand, because like surely she must have portaled to Crow, but the like building in the background was Haven Academy.
Are you sure? Because I'm sure the window that Crow was sitting next to was in the background.
Yeah.
No, because then it immediately cuts to the scene of, and then it does sort of a swooping shot into Crow's window. But I'm pretty sure it was.
But,
yeah.
yeah. So I'm pretty sure he's aware that she's there, because, like you said, she has to portal to him to get there. So, yeah, it's just a question of like, what is Raven's play here? A lot of people are theorizing that she wasn't serious about wanting Crow dead, but I still don't think that's the case. I think she was deadly serious about that, pun intended. Like, I just don't understand her motives, and I don't understand what her end game is. And I think she mentioned to what's her name, Vanal, that they need to get the relic, but I'm like, that's a very, very foolish plan, and it's not going to work for many reasons. But this business with wanting her brother dead, and like, he's going to be a problem now that he knows I have the maiden. He's known for some time, but hasn't really had the means to just waltz in there and be like, yo, I need your maiden. But because he's not an idiot. Yeah, I don't understand what Raven's playing at.
It seems very foolish, because she wants no part in what's happening, and yet she's like, but I'm going to take the thing both sides want, and I'm gonna, like, arguably the safest place for that relic is in the vault, and for her to just take Vernal and her people away. Exactly. Like, that would be the smartest thing to do, but instead she's going to take the relic with her and run off with it, and like, if Vernal opens the vault, Vernal's useless then, like...
Yeah, she's expendable at that point, yeah, Young Bro says, for someone who prefers to not get involved, she's doing her best at getting completely involved. Exactly. She contradicts herself at every turn. Everything she says is a contradiction. And that's why I'm confused about her. I'm like, girl, what is it exactly that you want? You say you don't want to be involved, but you've been harboring a maiden for 10 years. Also, now you want to go get the relic. That's involved. That's about as involved as it fucking gets. So, what exactly are you thinking at this point? I'm like, what is your plan here? Because it sounds like you don't have one.
No.
So, yeah, I don't know what she's playing at, but I think she seems to think it will be easy to get rid of Crow. And I think she's going to get a rude shock, because it's not going to be easy. Especially now that Yang and Weiss have joined the party, and Ozpin's around.
Silver Eyes as well.
Silver Eyes as well, yeah, that's always there.
I wonder if she knows about that.
I have no idea.
Actually.
That's a good point.
I think that they would, because of Crow's talk that they had in Volume 4 about dangerous people now knowing about her display, and especially because I feel like Raven knew about Summer's silver eyes, so like, why wouldn't she know about
true.
maybe Ruby's?
Oh, they're the same team.
That's true. Yeah, she exactly. She used to seem like this big mysterious threat, and now she just seems like a petulant child who has no idea what she wants. And I'm like, and she's
a chaotic neutral, if you will.
Far too big for her, I think, is the thing. And I feel like she's far too overconfident. She thinks she's smarter than she actually is, because she's not very smart. If she was smart, she wouldn't be getting involved at all. Yeah, I just don't see the rationale behind anything that she's doing at the moment. Maybe she'll surprise us, but we'll see what happens. Come the Fall of Haven, which will probably be starting next chapter, I imagine.
It would need to kick into gear immediately next chapter.
Yeah, it would need to. because it's only 4 left. My God. Yeah, so I feel like as well, because we got the break this week after the wrapping up of the Menagerie storyline. This is the calm before the storm. Now we've got the break week, and here comes the fall of Haven. So yeah, obviously everything's going to be coming to a head. I mean, the fall of Beacon took 3 chapters, and when after PvP, we were like, my God, there's 3 chapters left. How are they possibly going to wrap this up? But they or like what could they possibly fit into 3 chapters? And Jerry is on the move.
My laptop's about to die.
Yes.
And I'm good.
But that managed to go over 3 chapters, so I could definitely see the fall of Haven going for 3 or even 4 chapters. And I feel like it's not going to be the big battle that everybody is expecting. Like, it's not going to be the same as the fall of Beacon. That's not how this is going to go.
I wish it would, but probably not.
Too. There will be battles, and I mean, the lack of fight scenes this volume is a testament enough to how big the event is going to be. I feel like this is where most of the volume's energy has been directed towards, especially considering we've had a couple of episodes. So there will definitely be a RWBY reunion in there somewhere. That's a given. That's got to happen.
Oh yeah.
I'm still. I was predicting chapter 13. I'm predicting chapter 12 now. I'm gonna bring it forward a bit just because they have moved the timeline along so quickly. Yeah, but I'll talk about where I think we're gonna see Blake next. But yeah. So Raven, yeah, she's just confusing to me.
I like that Leo called her out though. Yeah. She's like, I'm smart, and he's like, yeah, sure, tell yourself that.
Yeah. Who are you?
You're just as much of a cowardly bitch as I am.
You're not convincing me, bitch. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so... but anyway, all of that aside, and then Raven kind of storms out. I'm like, oh my God, show some maturity. Like, you don't even have a clap back. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, but that was a thing. So then we finally got to go back to the thing that everybody's been waiting to see. Blake versus Illya was awesome.
Well, actually, there was a small scene before that with Cory.
Yeah.
Yes, there was. Yes, the Collies.
Which, by the way, those guards are useless.
They're useless.
I couldn't believe it.
Oh my God, they are just so hopeless. And like, none of them seem to even have their auras activated, which just confuses me. Because if you were going to be an armed guard charged with protecting people, wouldn't you want to have a fucking aura, for God's sake? It would just make sense, but apparently not.
I felt like they were only equipped for like petty thefts or break-ins, like burglary.
It's true. Yeah, so, but the thing a lot of people have been complaining about that little bit is that Cory picks up a wooden tray and deflects a bullet with it.
Yeah, true.
Wooden.
But it made like a, when the bullet hit it, it made like a metallic twang sound kind of thing.
Even the wooden tray has aura.
The texture is definitely wood. If you go back and look at the, it's definitely a wooden tray, but it makes a metallic sound and deflects a bullet. Also, the thing that bothered me about this little scene was that Cory was standing there, out in the open, unprotected for ages,
no cover.
And there were no bullets. And then suddenly, when she has the tray, bam, there's one bullet. I'm like, really? Could have done that a bit better. But I did like the way she just charged at fucking Yuma with that tray. Don't mess with Mama Belladonna. Good lord.
Yeah, Yuma did nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know why they bothered giving him a unique design or a name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll see him again.
Useless, and I was kind of disappointed.
I was so worried. I was like, the whole battle's gonna end, and then it's gonna be revealed that Cory was the one that died, because they're not just gonna have Yuma, that whole scene with Yuma and her mean nothing, and then completely other way around.
Yeah, they set Yuma up to be this awesome side character, and then did nothing with it, and I feel like
did nothing with him.
They've done that a lot this volume in particular.
Anaconda.
Yes. Oh my God.
Hell,
yes.
even Saber Rodentia so far has been useless.
I know. why bother like making these awesome characters with, you know, Yuma's a bat faunus, for God's sake. He could have been wicked, but they did nothing with him. But yeah, anyway, so it goes to Blake versus Illya, and this was not what I was expecting, but it was still of a really high quality of fight scene. It was very different.
What was you expecting?
I was expecting something a bit more action-packed than what it was. But what it was appropriate, I felt like.
Yeah, I thought it really suited, especially because the whole fight, you know, Blake's holding back. She doesn't want to hurt Illya. And then Ilya's basically, I mean, Illya was basically trying to hide because she didn't want to really hurt Blake either.
The fight was
She's like, I just need to keep Blake busy. Yeah.
It's an interesting situation where you have a fight scene between two characters who don't want to harm one another. So the way they handled that was, I felt, very appropriate. And the action that was in there was animated very well. It was shot very well, and it felt natural and very appropriate to the situation. There were a couple of issues I had with the fight scene in general. One of the issues, and I mentioned this in my reaction, was that when Blillia, did I just say Blillia?
Blake.
Illya.
Yeah, even. Okay.
Illya turned off the lights and was sneaking around in her like dark mode. I was like, Blake, seriously, you can't see her bright white eyes.
I was going to say the same thing.
Uniform? Really?
I was going to say.
But it bothers me
I think
because
it's...
they're faunus and they have night vision, for God's sake.
Yeah,
I was going to say.
I thought about that too.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, oh, you can see her, can you not? I can see her. But I thought it was more of a fact of, it was, I think they tried to do something of a visual cue.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, no, Blake can't see her, but we can. But I don't think that was the way to go with this sort of scene, especially we want to feel as confused and aware as Blake is. So you want to make Illya completely invisible.
Exactly. But even then I was still like, well, Blake can see in the dark. So surely she should be able to see what I'm seeing. But it was just one of those things.
I think it more had to do with the fact of it was a courtesy to the viewers and stuff. And I mean, Illya is a chameleon faunus. Like she turned off the lights because she's like, I will become as dark as the room. And so, like, you know, even though we can see her eyes and her buckle as a courtesy, you know, in theory her camouflage would like keep that away. But yeah, I thought it was kind of weird too that you know, there's night vision, we can see her eyes. The whole thing was like,
it was a bit dodgy.
Yeah. Piskian mentions the Volume 2, Chapter 4, painting the town scene, where Blake takes out the lights so Roman can't see them. But we're like, but the entire room full of fucking faunus can. Because they have fucking night vision. Not all faunus have night vision, but we know that it's a very common thing, and we know that Blake is definitely capable of it. So, yeah, that was just kind of irritating to me. Before that bit, though, there was a couple, there was some action before that I felt was really good, and some that was not so good. There was a shot in particular where Illya knocks Blake's weapon out of her hands, and there's a slow-mo shot where she grabs it again. That was really well done.
I kept replaying
that.
Yeah, such a good shot, and the expressions on Blake's face, and like, yeah, it was really, really cool. But then after that, there's a bit where they clash swords, which felt a little awkward to me, because one, Blake was holding her weapon with two hands, which she never does.
Never does.
She just doesn't do that. And there's just the animation of her, like, kind of just holding the sword against Illya's weapon just felt a little awkward to me. But there was another thing that bothered me, in that Blake got her weapon knocked away, and that always looks awkward when they animate that. But then she went to grab the sheath out of her holster for a secondary weapon, and immediately gets it knocked out of her hand, and it doesn't show up again for the rest of the fight. I'm like, we haven't seen Blake fight with like with a weapon in each hand since Volume 2.
What? 2? Did she do it? Did she do it in the tournament arc?
I don't even remember if
think
she ever
briefly.
used it in the turret.
I think she did briefly, but it was not animated well at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. She did like a sort of like blade beam thing with both weapons in Volume 3, I think.
She definitely fought Arslan briefly with both of her weapons out, one in each hand. So that was I think the only time since the No Breaks fight versus women that we've seen her fight with a weapon in each hand, and it feels like Blake's lost a little bit of her fighting style because she
especially because I feel like they're trying to make her more with like her ribbons and her guns and stuff, and they want to make her more. I don't know, but yeah, it does feel like, you know, especially early on, her fighting was so about like multiple quick slashes, and now it's like shooting and swinging around and stuff, and it feels different.
Oh, beg your pardon.
It feels all
She
repurposed.
fought Reese, not Arslan. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the skateboard girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to address what Unicorn said in the chat, where when Sun's fighting Illya, there's a shot where Blake, who was lying on the ground, teleports out of frame.
Yes.
There is an earlier shot where she runs to the side, but then she does she is then disappears, because there is a shot where you should have seen the direction she ran in, but there's just no one there. So like Blake does teleport out of that room for that scene, and I was just like,
I mean, because of what's going on in the foreground, I can kind of forgive that because it's very animation intensive what's going on there. And they want to save as much, because of the quality of that action was so good, I will forgive that the background is just kind of absent. The background action is absent because I didn't even notice the first time I watched it because I was so focused on what was going on and like gunchucks, obviously. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Blake versus Illya part, it felt very natural, all of it, except for the minor things like not being able to see her when she probably should have, and it did feel like a very natural, and there were, I think my favourite part of the whole thing was when Blake was kind of taking pot shots at Illya, and she says, "Stop taking pot shots and fight me like you mean it." Not only did she voice act that extremely well, but animation.
Props to Sherry Millet.
Oh, amazing! She's been so good as Illya.
Right.
And the way she's slashing her weapon to deflect the bullets, and then the camera zooms in, and Ilya's expressions, and just the way the whole shot was delivered was just fabulous. It's my favourite part. I keep watching it over and over.
Do you think that Blake is using her semblance a little off purpose?
Yes.
Like she's just using it willy-nilly.
Yeah, it did feel like she was not utilising her semblance as much as she could have been. Definitely.
Not even as much as she could have been.
She wasn't using it to like deflect attacks necessarily. Like it felt more like
evasive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more. It was more evasive. I think she was just like taking hits when she could have just dodged out of the way. Like she had enough time to move out of the way. Instead, I'm just gonna sort of like phase out.
Yeah.
I remember there's one. I think there was one shot where she like kind of like jumps and then backflips onto like a higher balcony, right? But she waits for the attack to hit her before phasing out and moving up. And I'm like, you could have just jumped up without waiting to be hit.
Yes.
Like you're just using it a bit too much, I think. It's really weird.
Yes, the spare frame on the podcast, the thumbnail for this episode is from that shot of Illya saying "Fight me like you mean it." Yeah, because I like that shot better than the one they used for the thumbnail because the thumbnail shot's really creepy.
Yeah, but they wanted the fire in the background for that one.
Yes, they did. Sure. Yeah, so Blake setting fire to the house was a smart thing to do. Because it means Illya can't hide, but the way that she just goes, "Sorry, Dad," and then just like
"Sorry, Dad,"
on fire. "Sorry, Dad." I'm like, yeah, that was kind of funny. When she jumps up onto the balcony, like you said, Illya says to her, "You used to see things the way I did, the way Adam did." I found it interesting the way Illya phrased that. She said, "You used to see things the way I did, not I do, I did." which was interesting.
Oh yeah. It could have been a slip of the script, but also who knows?
Script, or it could have been a deliberate choice. I'm leaning more towards slip of the script. Yeah. So, but the fact that she says I did, yeah, I'm thinking it's probably more a slip of the script situation, which has happened quite a bit this volume in particular. I've noticed. Yeah, Blake also had dust rounds handy. Yeah, we saw fire and ice. But she didn't use her dust clones, whereas last chapter she did use an ice clone.
Oh, the dust clones have been the best utilization of her semblance I've seen.
Yeah, I remember way back in Volume 2, the No Breaks fight. Weiss hands her that dust cartridge, and I'm like, oh, what's she going to do with that? And then her semblance, and I'm like, holy fuck, that's amazing.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and the ice clones, and like especially the ice clone that we saw last chapter, just the detail and the way that the ice cracked, and we know that they use different shatter and physics sort of engines in Volume 5 as well to what they've used previously, and it just looks so good. And yeah, she doesn't use dust clones all that much, and I think it's just more of a case of conserving dust than anything. Because dust is fucking expensive now.
Dust is finite, yeah.
Hard to come by, yeah, especially with the embargo. Like we saw, it has to be smuggled out of Atlas now, so.
I also think just in the context of this fight, like, for a large portion of the fight, she had either no dust in, or then she had fire dust in her thing, and a fire clone, based on how we saw it work in Volume 2, would have probably been too destructive for what she was aiming for.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, probably not good for the close quartersness. And then also, like, freezing Illya with a dust clone, she would have had to get close enough and time it perfectly. And as we see, Illya is more or less basically as skilled as Blake is, so. Whereas when she fought Roman was not expecting it. So I feel like the best advantage with the ice clones is the element of surprise. So, yeah, but she does freeze Ilya's weapon, which I thought was a very smart thing to do, you know. So
especially since it takes a while to come back.
It does, yeah, it takes some time. Yeah, so this, a couple of moments, but most of it was done extremely well, and I was pretty pleased with how it went in general. So Gira crashes through the wall with Fennec and Cory on his tail, literally. When he got stabbed, I started to panic, because I was like...
I did too.
Same. It was like...
He has no aura.
Yeah, he has no aura. That was kind of them saying, like, okay, he's very much in danger of being killed here. My petunias, Gira screams. My petunias! Yeah, so that was their way of saying he's very much in danger of dying here, because he has no aura. So, yeah, and it not only, like, was it kind of, but it was very violent. Like, it was startling and made you feel extremely vulnerable, I think. I found it slightly funny that when he busts through the wall and Blake's got, like, Illya pinned to the ground there.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Looking at them, and he's like, Blake! I'm like, why does he look so worried? Like, clearly Blake is in control of this situation.
Yeah. Well, also, I think...
this situation.
Right.
I'm also like, it's clearly they aren't doing anything right now. They're not making out, like, you know...
I jumped ahead a bit.
Shouldn't have called out her name.
I jumped ahead a bit, but that part where Blake pins Illya to the ground and you know, she's saying to her, this isn't the only way, like, you have a choice, all that kind of shit that she's been preaching lately. And
she's been very preachy this season, actually.
She has. Oh yeah. I kind of wasn't really convinced by Illya in this scene, because she kind of breaks down and she's like, I don't know what else to do. And I feel like that's not the only reason she's been doing the things that she's been doing. That's not the whole story. I wasn't really convinced by her kind of turning in that moment. I felt like it was a bit too easy. I feel like she wouldn't have just turned off the feelings that she was talking about. Like, all of her words in the chapters, in the volume so far, don't match up with what's going on in this scene. Like, she's suddenly becomes very vulnerable. And I don't know if it's like Blake that has that effect on her. It could be, but yeah, I agree. Yeah, when Gira saves her, that kind of convinces her that what she's doing is this is not the right way to get what she wants. So yeah, and
I know. The thing I liked most about that whole scene was just that, like, she says to her, "You're a good person, but you're making all the wrong decisions." And I feel like she was talking about Illya, but she was also kind of talking about herself.
Yes.
Where she was like, you're making bad choices, and I wish you could see that, kind of like,
That's exactly.
I know there was just something in that.
What Blake was doing in previous volumes. She's a good person. She means well, but the decisions she was making were just all the wrong decisions. And I think she's acknowledged that, and she's trying to stop Illya from making the mistakes.
Same mistakes.
Made, yeah. It's like she says to her son, it's time for me to save my friends for once. And
Well, I mean, she even also kind of addressed it earlier when she said, when Illya asked, "Why won't you just leave?" And she says, "I run away too much." Like,
yeah, I run away too much. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, Gira fighting the Albanes was done really well. I felt. He really managed to kind of pull the wool over their eyes in this fight and remind them that, hey, you're not all that in a bag of potato chips. Like, I'm Gira Belladonna. Fuck off. He kind of just sort of made them his bitches, even though they, like, stabbed him in the shoulder and he's, like, mortally wounded. He's like, yeah, nah, you guys aren't shit. Yeah, so it was it was nice to see Gira just beat the crap out of these little bastards who, have just been getting on my nerves the entire volume.
yeah.
But I need to talk about Gunchucks because I was so excited for the return of the Gunchucks.
Are we here? Are we at the Gunchucks spot now?
Everybody is so excited about the fucking Gunchucks. I knew it was coming and I was like waiting for it the entire episode.
Same.
And when Sun saw Illya and he was like, "Bitch, you're gonna die," I was like, "Here they come, they're coming." And then the animation in this, it was very short, but my god, was it satisfying. Holy crap.
Oh yeah,
it was just so satisfying to watch. The slow-mos in the perfect places, the sound effects that they used were just so punchy and satisfying, and watching Sun beat the crap out of Illya was satisfying as well.
It was very reminiscent of the original appearance of the Gunchucks back in season 1. Like everything from the animation and his movements.
Yes.
It was very reminiscent of season 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel like that was a deliberate choice on their part to sort of mimic the style of when we first saw the Gunchucks come out, because it's been a very, very long time. And just as soon as he busted them out and he's like, chucking them around, and there's the slow-mo, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing, I'm so happy. I just watched that part over and over and over again. I just can't get enough.
I just watched it. I just rewatched that part just now. The episode. I was like, yeah.
So good. It was everything we've been waiting for with regards to the Gunchucks, because Cory actually teased it in the middle of our podcast last week.
On Twitter, didn't he?
Yeah, on Twitter, and we literally stopped the podcast to be like, what? Because he was like, oh, everybody's waiting for the return of Gunchucks. Well, watch next week. And I was
what was the deal with the Gunchucks? From what I understand, the model was broken or something.
So, Sun's weapon model and Pyrrha's weapon model, I know, are two that broke after Volume 2.
The Suns broke after Volume 1.
Suns broke
after Volume 1.
And they couldn't get his weapon out of staff mode. But Pyrrha's broke after Volume 2, and they couldn't get her weapon into rifle mode. So, but since...
Oh, that's why I haven't seen rifle mode. I forgot about that mode.
Since they switched to Maya, they had to reconstruct the character models in the new program. So now they're able to animate them whichever way they need to now. But, of course, until now, there wasn't really an appropriate situation for gunchucks. And, of course, it's complicated to animate. So...
of course, oh god.
It's no simple thing to animate whatsoever. It's very complicated. I watched the RWBY, and they did a lot of, like... They gave us a real good look into how they did that gunchucks animation and what's exactly is involved in animating something so interesting.
I need to look at that.
Piskian in the chat asks, I've heard rumors that Kim Newman animated it. And if you watch that episode, Kim is the one who they're talking to, and she shows you her models as she goes through it and stuff. So yeah, it was her that did it.
Kim Newman is responsible for the gunchucks animation, and she did a fabulous job. Absolutely stellar work on her part. I don't remember the source for saying that they were broken. I'm pretty sure it's Monty that said it at some point. But of course, it was like 3 years ago, so I really don't remember. Yeah, they were really early builds, and of course we know that things didn't work properly in the earlier volumes.
Volume 1, yeah.
So, yeah, but thank God the gunchucks are back. That's all I can say. And God bless Kim Newman. My God, she did a fabulous job. Yeah, definitely. Considering she never tackled it before, definitely very impressive.
Also, if I remember correctly, before episode 10 came out on their site, I think I remember seeing her post on Twitter that she'd been promoted to like lead animator or something like that.
Yeah, it was Carrie on Twitter, not Carrie. So it was definitely very exciting, and the way that bit was animated was just, it felt so natural and so well done, and the slow-mo was in the perfect places, and it felt really like nitty-gritty. This is two people absolutely going at it, and it was very nice to watch, because we haven't had a lot of that recently. Not probably since Tyrion versus Crow, I would say. So we haven't seen two people just try to kill each other for some time. It's very nice to watch. I want to talk about the pillar shattering, because they're using a new shatter. It's like an engine that creates random
the shatter effect. Yeah,
it creates the shatter effect, and it is doing a really good job. It looks very realistic. I Talk Live. Is that how you say that? I don't know. Yeah, so it just looks so much better, and it saves them a lot of time as far as like not having to animate those things themselves and
like manually.
Yeah, manually, exactly. And it just looks that much more realistic when they do have to do very intricate sort of a pillar and balcony kind of shattering and collapsing like that, which would take up so much time to do that by hand. So it's an excellent tool for them to have.
I was Unicorn asks, why did the part of the house that fell on Finnick, why did it explode? The 3 daggers in his hands, he was charging fire dust up in them.
Yeah.
So when he got crushed, the dust went off.
Yes, exactly. So it was definitely a good shot here where the balcony starts to fall on Illya and she looks up and it cuts to black. It made me go, oh shit. But then I was like, nah, they wouldn't have just killed Illya like that.
I was afraid they just ended the episode, was what happened, where I went,
I was a little scared about that as well. I was like, oh shit.
I had half a second where I was like, no, wait, no.
I would have been pissed if that was the case.
I know, me too.
But Gira saving Illya here, she was kind of like even hesitant to sort of get herself to safety, because she was like, I think she's just in a bit disbelief that he'd even bothered to save her life, considering the things that she's done to sort of lead to this event. And then finally Illya makes the right decision First of all, by not engaging Gira or any of them in combat. Unicorn says chapter 11 starts in the hospital and is Blake and Illya talking for 9 minutes. Then Illya starts physical therapy. Yeah, so...
Physical therapy for what?
If the episode had ended with the thing crushing her.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think that's what that means.
I liked what Blake did here with her weapon, is sort of grappling Gira and pulling him to safety as she saw Fennec,
which, by the way,
Fennec running towards him.
I honestly thought that was a bit weird to me. Like, when she threw the ribbon, I was like, okay, what is she doing? And then she kind of just, like, pulled, like, her, like... And Gira's massive,
He's
mind.
huge. Yeah, as if she'd be strong enough to do that, yeah.
I did not believe that for a second.
No way. Yeah, no, I was like, would she really be strong enough? I don't think so. Yeah, it was a little bit questionable, but
like, what is that ribbon made of?
I don't know.
Apparently, it's made of elastic, as far as I'm concerned.
It must be. Yeah, but we got rid of Fennec, so I'm happy about that at least. I still can't decide which of the two of them was more annoying. I think it might have been Fennec. But
I thought Corsic. I think Corsic's the more annoying one because he's the one that's more, I think, radical.
It was nice to see Corsic kind of after his brother gets killed. It was nice to see him sort of lose it a bit, and it did humanize him a little bit when he sort of screams that you ruined everything. It was at this moment Fennec knew he fucked up, yeah. I'm pretty sure he didn't get a chance to realize he fucked up before he was dead, you know?
Honestly, when I rewatched it, right, and then, like, he kind of jumped in, it was like, what are you doing? Like, even if he hadn't been pulled out, what was you planning on doing? Yeah, sure, you stabbed him. But then he would have dropped the fucking thing anyway, and you both would be dead.
It wasn't very smart of him at all.
Honestly, you played yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the Albane brothers were just too weird. Especially, like, every single time one of them got hurt, the other was like, brother, ah! It was just like... It was just like, what is your plan here? Like...
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad to be rid of them. I honestly hope we never see Corsac again, because I can do without the Albane brothers from now on. Thank you very much. I could do without them before. But at least before they were like kind of calm and collected, a bit mysterious, but then it got to the fighting part and they were just idiots. This, brother, it's like, okay, fucking hell, he got injured, stop whining. But maybe getting a Fiat, what did I miss? I'm not gonna ask questions.
Wait, I might be wrong. Isn't that a car?
Yeah, it's a car. It's a Korean car, I believe.
I read that as a flat, but anyway.
The way Saber talks to Corsac later was perfect description. Was it worth it? Yeah, exactly. No, is the short answer. It was not worth it. But after Fennec is killed and Corsac and Illya kind of, Piskian said that. Oh, who said, was it worth it? It was, Saber.
No, who's Saber?
Oh, Saber is the dude with the scar over his eye.
The
the guy at the end?
With...
Yeah.
Okay.
And Illya kind of takes Corsac down, and then she kind of cries, and I was like, what are you crying about? Girl, it's gonna be okay. I think she's more afraid than anything else. She's afraid of the retribution from the White Fang for kind of siding with Blake. But I'm like, it's gonna be okay. Don't worry. Blake's got your back. You don't fucking deserve it, but still. Yeah, so it kind of winds down after that, and Carly comes out carrying an unconscious Yuma, which I loved. I was like, oh, Mama Belladonna is just a beast.
Yeah, I saw people who kept being like, oh look, the mama cat brings her bird kill to her family.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, so I was
Unicorn just said that in chat.
Lol. I was honestly shocked by the end of this that the entire Belladonna family, son and Illya, were all still alive. I was like, how did that just go so well?
Yeah, they really played it up to be a sinister event.
But
I was still worried. I was still worried until the episode was over. I was like, okay, there's making a big speech now, like
drop the credits. Credits roll now.
I was so nervous while Blake was making that big speech. I was just like the same way I was nervous when Gira made his speech earlier in the volume. I was expecting an arrow to just hit her in the heart. I was like, something's gonna happen, but it didn't. I was surprised that although I'm not really that surprised they decided to go in this direction with it, because I feel like they knew that everybody would be expecting somebody to die here, so they did the opposite of what we were expecting, which is what they've been doing a lot of this volume. So I give up trying to predict things. I'm not going to make any more fucking predictions, because everything I've predicted about this volume has been wrong. So, yeah, no, I'm not going to predict anything from now on. I'm just going to watch the show and find out what happens, because I've got no fucking idea what they're going to do with it. Good Lord, Gilda.
I don't even know what that means.
No, I have no idea what that means.
Like, how does that relate at all?
Humans didn't do this, Faunus didn't do it either. I set my own house on fire. It's my fault by now. Yeah, so Blake's speech, I felt like, was definitely had a different vibe from every other sort of preachy kind of speech she's been making, not only in this volume but in previous ones. You know, she says, like, humans didn't do this, we did this is our fault, we're doing this to ourselves, it's got nothing to do with humans, what's going on here. It's got to do with Faunus hating Faunus, which is not what the White Fang is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about Faunus hating humans, but apparently it's about Faunus on Faunus hate now, which is the point she's trying to get across, and it's like, this isn't a simple problem. This is a complicated problem that needs to be addressed.
I thought her thing was more had to do with the fact of, like, you know, she's like, you think that it's all humans are the bad people. It's all humans. It's all them. But, like, we did this
as well as Faunus.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah, exactly. We are just as much to blame. And it's yeah, she's kind of trying to get the point across that this is not...
We're no different.
This is not a situation that's going to be resolved overnight. It's going to require a lot of fighting. It's going to require a lot of patience and a lot of persistence to get the point across to the humans in a more peaceful way that the Faunus deserve to be respected. And you know, like she says, she doesn't know how to make hate go away. It probably never will, but they can get to a point where discrimination against Faunus is at least frowned upon. You know, like the day and age that we live in, discrimination against anyone is kind of universally frowned upon in most places, and it's like discrimination is considered a bad thing amongst most, I would say. But in Remnant, discrimination against the Faunus is totally acceptable in some places. Like we saw in Mistral, there was a no Faunus sign on the noodle bar, which is just like, it's kind of like treats them like animals, and I'm like, that's just, you kind of get a sense of how bad the Faunus' situation is just from that one little sign on the door, that it's acceptable for him to have that sign up. Tells you just how acceptable discrimination against the Faunus is and how much work they're going to have to do to erase that. Yeah, exactly. She says, I can't give you the answers because I don't have them, but we need to work to find what those answers are, and we need to work with the humans, not against them. Because the more that they fight the humans, the more people they kill, the more schools they destroy, only proves to the humans that they are people who deserve to be discriminated against.
Yeah.
Regardless of
I loved
on either side.
Yeah, I loved the line that she said where if we don't act, we let others speak and act in our place.
Exactly.
And I was just like, I think that was the point where I was like, yes,
exactly.
like you were you may not want to do anything, but you're letting these people represent you, and why? Like,
exactly. And she was saying if we're not proud of the decisions they make, then we shouldn't be letting them make those decisions for us. We should
In the first place.
Ourselves. Yeah, exactly. So, and her speech was obviously rousing enough to get basically the entire crowd to agree to go help Haven, and so now they've got 2 weeks to train a bunch of
2 weeks to train them
who don't even have aura. So that's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked that the first person to stick their hand up was that Ram kid from an earlier.
Mata.
Oh yeah.
Mata, that's right.
Was that his name?
Yeah, Mata. It's in the credits. Yeah, I like that he was.
Well, when Sun was trying to recruit him, his mom comes out and goes, "Mata, get back inside."
Get your ass back inside.
Yeah, so it was kind of nice to see Blake finally getting like a win on her side, because she's been doing nothing for so long. It's nice to see her finally getting the ball rolling, and this whole
Only took 10 episodes.
I was watching Gira and I was like, dude, your shoulder's bleeding. Go get medical attention. Like,
Same.
seriously.
Like there's a massive hole in the back of your flipping, like in the back of your back, I guess. Well, yeah, in your shoulder blade, and it's like, see someone immediately.
You need to stop it. Get some help. So, oh God, but I loved the part here where Illya kind of says, "I'll stand with you," and she's Saber kind of stops her and he says to Blake, "Are you just gonna forgive her after everything she's done?" And Blake just goes, "Yep,
Yeah,
I am."
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just like, ugh.
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
And I feel like that was actually a really nice thing that she says, because I feel like it's her team. I feel like it's Team RWBY that taught her the value of forgiveness, because they forgave her when she didn't basically deserve it sometimes. They were always willing to forgive her and say, your past transgressions don't matter to us. It matters what you do now and who you are now. And that's the kind of attitude with which she's going to Illya. Yes, I forgive you for everything you've done, as long as you make the right choices now. And Gira says to Saber, she's learned a lesson. I didn't learn till I was much older. There is strength in forgiveness. And in this case, especially, Illya could become a very valuable asset to Blake's cause. Someone who was very adamantly on the White Fang's side and is now on her side. Yeah, his son just goes, "Hey, are your shoulders bleeding?" You know that, right? Exactly. The little bit between the interaction between Sun and Illya here, which is the first time we've seen them interact without fighting each other.
Without fighting, yeah.
Yeah, without trying to tear each other's heads off.
The way he says, "You stabbed me."
You stabbed me.
You stabbed me. And then she starts to like defend herself, and he just pinches her. The way she goes, "Ow."
That was
you could just basically hear her saying, she said "ow," but what she actually meant was, "What the hell?
What the fuck, dude?" Yeah, exactly. It was,
and that's enough nice material for shippers everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly.
Oh, I just want them to be best bros.
I know, right? I want them to get along. That'll be nice. Just get along. No more fighting, please.
That's good enough for me.
But it was a real testament to Sun as well, and how great of a guy he is. She maimed him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll just pinch you and call it even. Doesn't matter."
I mean, I already kicked your ass like a few minutes ago anyway.
It's true. He did kind of get it back. And I feel like also he sees, right, Blake has forgiven her, so that means that I can too. And it's kind of that attitude of like, wherever Blake goes, I go. And yeah, can you hear me humming that?
Oh, sorry. No, I had a question as well. I was wondering if Smile is Illya's theme or Blake and Illya's theme.
I'm not sure. I feel like I have to hear
because I keep hearing Smile renditions whenever I see Illya on screen.
Yeah,
I feel like it's Illya just because. But still, just with the lyrics that we could hear from the song, they sound too menacing to be Blake's. Because it's so about revenge, and even just we hear it at the end of the Blake trailer, and everything we hear from Illya's story in the Blake trailer, it does sound very much like, basically talking about what happened back then, where like she put on a smile, but then they were mean to her, and so she tore them apart.
Yeah,
Mm.
basically. Unicorn says, I want Illya to have an adorable crush on Weiss. Illya and Weiss are going to
I've been seeing that
each other.
Oh my god.
I've seen so many people shipping Weiss and Illya.
I don't get it. They are going to hate each other. I'll tell you who else is going to hate each other. Yang and Illya. Because Ilya's got making eyes on Yang's bestie, and she's not going to have that.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people are shipping Illya and Velvet, which I think is really cute, but no, it's just never going to be a thing.
Why?
Everyone's
Is it
shipping
because they're
Illya
fondest?
with everyone,
Yeah.
but we don't know if
Like,
we don't know if Ilya's gonna make it out of the season. So.
I don't think she. I still don't
I
think
don't
she
think she
is.
will.
I've said that earlier this volume, and even though she survived this, where I thought she'd die, I'm like, nope, she's still not making it to the end.
I feel like I don't see how Illya could be a service to the story going forward after the fall of Haven, because we don't know how
same.
this volume's going to end is the thing. So, and before we know how it's going to end, we don't know how next volume is going to begin. So we can't make predictions that far ahead. We don't have a fucking clue how this is going to go, and we don't have a fucking clue where we're going to be come the start of volume 6. So,
Yeah.
but I don't see how Illya could be an asset to the story past the fall of Haven. So
Past the menagerie arc, yeah.
yeah, I feel like she's gonna be done away with by the end of the volume. And also it's too many love interests in Blake. That's like what, number 3 now?
Yeah.
It's getting a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Yeah, if you count Yang, some people do, some people don't.
I'm counting Yang. Who's the other?
Son
Oh,
Illya
yeah.
and Blake, or son Illya and Yang.
I'm counting Yang. Who else? Yeah, I would definitely count Yang as a potential interest, but I'm not gonna touch the Bumblebee canon argument at all.
Oh yeah, let's not. Save it for another year.
That's the thing, Unicorn. She is an LGBTQ plus character. Fucking, oh my god, you are such trash. She is an LGBTQ plus character, so she has value in that sense, in that she's representation where representation previously has not existed. But as a character, she won't be an asset going forward. Well, she could be. They could turn her around and make her an asset, or they could not kill her and just have her go her own way at the end of the volume. Or
Yeah, just put her on a bus
they could
or something.
Exactly. They could do any number of things with it.
Yeah, I feel like if she survives the volume, she's not like sticking around as like main cast or even really secondary cast. Like they're gonna ship her off to like Vacuo to like deal with some White Fang sect over there or something, just to
They're gonna do something with her. They'll either kill her, or they'll do something that involves not being a main character in the next volume. Yeah, so I'm really excited to see how the Sun Blake Illya dynamic plays out going forward, but I'm also excited to see how Team RWBY interacts with Illya as well, or if that's even.
I don't even know if they will.
I'm not even sure if that's going to be a thing. Yeah, if it doesn't fit story-wise, Illya should be gone. Sexuality damned. Exactly. It's
Yeah.
You can't have a character just for the sake of having,
Yeah.
just because they're a faunus, or just because of their sexual orientation, or just because of their skin color. Like, you've got to do what's right for the story.
Something with that character. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
character has to
especially
have
they-
importance, yeah.
They dealt with Ilya's sexuality so well in the show that I would hate to see her just become the token, LGBT character. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'll be interested in seeing how all those dynamics play out. And then they were talking about how we need training, we need weapons, we need transportation, and Blake was like, well, we know a ship captain who owes us a favour. And it's interesting because it's the same ship captain that took Yang to Mistral. So, yeah, so I don't think that's going to come into play, though. I feel like the next time we see Blake and company, they'll be arriving in Mistral.
Yeah, or they'll be like getting close, and we'll
they'll be
maybe
getting
see
close.
some ship fighting-esque stuff.
Chapter 11 is
But-
going to be the day of the White Fang attack on Haven Academy. That is where we're going next.
Yeah, I see no more reason for the story to prepare for that. You know?
Literally have
I
one day.
I feel like the only thing that they could potentially do is that they will have like Illya, Blake, and Sun on a boat having a conversation, and then like Ranger and them having a conversation. But like the episode has to end with the ambush, like either being set or ambush already over. But like I think there are tiny ways they could drag this out one more episode, but not much. Like the Fall of Haven starts at the end of chapter 11 for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is where it all kicks off. This is the 4-part finale, what's about to happen. They're gonna send the volume out with something huge. And Piskian just posted in the chat that the RWBY Rewind this week was public for anyone who wasn't aware. And they said something big is happening next chapter, and they also didn't have a preview because it's 2 weeks away, obviously. So, well, 1 week now, because it's Friday.
Yeah.
Next episode is not going to be 9 minutes long. It's going to be, it's going to be decent, I feel like. It's not going to be as decent as this one, but it's still going to be, I'm guessing around the 16, 17 minute mark. I don't feel like they're going to kill Crow, actually.
Yeah. Crow still has somewhat of a place in the show.
Yeah, Crow hasn't brought up any red flags.
No, not for me.
Oh yeah.
I feel like because they're setting this thing up like Raven wants Crow dead, that's exactly why they're not going to kill him. I mean, I've been wrong. Maybe he'll die. Who knows? But if he dies, I'll be pissed. Because Crow's my favourite character. Don't kill him, please. I've had enough trauma of Game of Thrones killing my favourite characters. Let's not go there with RWBY, please. You already did Tapira, that's enough.
I know.
So, yeah, I feel like next chapter, it will start slow, but I feel like the way it's going to go is that we'll see Crow and the students rocking up at Haven Academy to go speak to Leo, is how this is all going to kick off. As far as where everybody else comes into that, I'm not entirely sure. Crow is going to kick the shit out of Leo, though. I feel like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Crow is going to be pissed.
Or at least give him a good stern talking to.
I would not be upset if Crow just like lops Leo's head off. That would be very satisfying for me. But it's not going to happen.
I know. I still think Leo's got some purpose in the story. I also, once again, just don't see death flags on him. I feel like, especially with all the talks about regrets and stuff. In this episode, I feel like it's more like he's going to have a confrontation with Oscar. And, Oz is going to be like, I'm very disappointed in you. And he's going to be like, ugh.
Yeah, that's probably how it's going to go. But I feel
and
like...
I think as far as he's concerned, Ozpin's dead as well.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, no, he was part of his inner circle, though. He knows he reincarnates.
About reincarnation, but he doesn't know that Crow has him. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing they have over Leo is that he doesn't know that. So, I feel like the only service Leo could have to the story from this point forward is as Crow's personal punching bag. Because he's not going to be happy at all. But yeah, I feel like it's more going to go how you said, Cory. Like, Osmond's going to be like, I'm very disappointed in you. And that's like, going to be about it. I feel like going forward, Leo has done too much damage to his credibility to really remain on Ozpin's side. And I feel like maybe Cinder or somebody might even kill Leo. I could see that happening.
I mean, as soon as the Fall of Haven's over, it would honestly be in their best interest to kill him.
Yeah.
Because it's just easier to... Yeah, I mean, there's no point for them to have him anymore. He's expendable. Honestly, getting rid of him, it just gets rid of one less loose end.
Yeah.
Like, it makes more sense that they kill him after the Fall of Haven, but that's, I don't think the Fall of Haven's going the way they think it's gonna go.
Oh my god, I just got a spam text message. They're spamming my messages now. Oh, sorry. I get so many telemarketing calls, and now I'm getting fucking spam texts. But anyway, I just saw you post in the chat, and I was really confused. I was like, wait, what? I don't think Leo's gonna get redemption of any kind. Just because he's cowardly, I feel like he's not gonna be brave enough to redeem himself. Like, he's not gonna turn around now. It's much too late for him to reverse the damage that he's done. In any way, shape, or form. I do feel like it's gonna be more like, yeah, Osmond being like, I'm so disappointed in you, Leo. And that's about gonna be it for his character, I think. I feel like Spring is going to open the vault, and the relic of knowledge is going to be unleashed. Beyond that, I have no idea what's going to happen with that. But
we at least need to see what the relic looks like.
Yeah.
After
I want to see what it looks
time.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most.
But yeah, it makes too much sense for her to not open it, which is exactly why they won't do that.
Exactly.
Like.
The only thing that I know going forward is that nobody's plans are going to go the way they think they are. That is just everybody's plans are going to be thrown out the window. Yeah. I don't think
I'm just wondering
is going to sacrifice himself for anything. I don't see him as being that kind of person.
I don't know. I mean, if they want to do the whole thing of, you know, he's the cowardly lion, but he goes out with, you know, he redeems himself by dying and shows bravery and blah. You know, I could see why they would do it. I still think it'd be better to let him live with his consequences.
So there's definitely going to be Cinder versus Finale in here at some point. There's going to be a maiden versus maiden. And it's going to be interesting because we know Vinal has been a maiden for 10 years. Cinder has been a maiden for some time, but she's only had half the power. She's had the full power for not very long at all. So
yeah, like 6 months.
6 months to a year, yeah. But before that, for a couple of years, she had half the power of the maiden. So she's familiar with it, but not in the sense that Vinal has been literally honing her skills for a decade. So I would expect Vinal to be a formidable foe at this point. And Cinder's going to get a shock.
Except they still kind of took down Amber, like, with not much problem at all.
Yeah, Crow did mention, though, that Amber hadn't been a maiden for long. So he said she
was
young and inexperienced, yeah. And Amber was still a badass. If she's young and inexperienced, I can't wait to see what Vinal can do.
Yeah, Amber still almost killed Emerald and Mercury.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think Cinder would have cared if they died.
Probably not. Cinder is way too overconfident, and it's going to be her undoing here. And I
mean, that's exactly what Watts was saying. You know, if this goes sour because of your grudge with a child, like...
Yeah, exactly. She's going to be super focused on, I want to kill RWBY because she took my eye. Man. Yeah, Cinder is just... I'm just like, honey, really? You have to see what's going to happen here. I would have thought that being taken down a peg would make her a little more humble, but it seems to have done the opposite. So that's interesting.
Yeah. I think that's Salem's doing, though. She's like, no, you're all powerful.
Yeah, Vinal's too important at this point to be in too much danger, but once the vault opens, target. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
she will
exactly.
become a target. She will become the target, if anything. Because once the relic's out, that's it. Vinal is totally expendable after that.
Yeah.
And she'll have it.
That's right.
Exactly.
I think Raven will succeed in getting that relic out of there. I just don't think Vinal will go with her.
I feel like she will succeed in getting it, but she ain't gonna hold on to it for very long. I just don't know. Silverite Assassin Squad. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm not gonna predict too much because I know whatever I predict will be wrong. So I'm just
I don't. There's the possibilities for the fall of Haven are just exponential.
endless.
I feel like we'll have
go anywhere with it.
we'll have a slight idea about what's going on after the next episode, but even then, like, with the fall of Beacon, like, nobody predicted anything that was going to happen there.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, that was at a point where the show had been light and fluffy for 2 volumes, and then suddenly everybody was dying. And it's a bit of a rude shock.
Essentially.
Whereas now we are wise to
a bit more savvy
tricks, but I feel like they're, again, going to do the opposite of what we think, because they know that we are expecting this to be a huge, big, bad event. Everybody's going to die. So that's exactly what they're not going to do. So we are jaded as
Yeah,
fuck.
exactly, Unicorn. We are jaded as fuck.
We are jaded as fuck.
Either that or they'll kill, either that or they'll kill the person we least expect.
Exactly, yeah. They traumatized us with Volume 3, really, is what they've done. And now, around every corner, we're expecting people to die, and they're not doing it, because they know that's what we're expecting. So...
I was confident. I was so confident this was the episode we would finally have another, like, death. Yeah. And to be fair, there was one, but nobody cared.
Nobody
we were like, oh,
him.
It was such a Disney death, too.
It was, yeah.
Well,
nobody gave a fucking shit about Fennec dying, and it was fabulous. Because everyone was too like, oh, well, the Belladonna's lived. Oh yeah, Fennec died. Whatever. We didn't like him anyway.
He's got a twin. It's basically the same.
We didn't like him anyway. He was shit. Yeah, but... Yeah, it's interesting the way they do that, because I remember watching the fall of Beacon, and, like, in Chapter 10, things were starting to go bad, but you're like, okay, this is, you know, everybody's still alive, we're still good. Chapter 11...
they killed Penny, but everything's fine.
Oh yeah, they killed Penny, but we all saw that coming from a mile away, so we weren't surprised when it happened. But Chapter 11 rolls around, and they started it off so lighthearted, and like had that fight with the mechs and Velvet doing her awesome stuff, and then they lopped Yang's arm off. And we were all
yeah,
like,
I know.
what the fuck just
God, that episode.
Right.
Like, there was literally a clear difference where it's like, everything's good, everything's good. Look at these people being badasses. Everything's bad, everything's horrible. Oh my god, what's happening?
What did they just do? They literally maimed Blake, and they have dismembered Yang. What the fuck just happened?
And murdered Amber.
And murdered Amber, yeah, that's true. But I didn't really notice that in amongst everything else that was going on. Yeah. And then Chapter 12 rolls around, they kill Pyrrha, and we're just traumatized after that. We're just like, oh my god, what did they just do to our cute, light, fluffy, funny show? They have destroyed it.
and the thing is with Pyrrha's death, right? Is that, like, it wasn't so much as just like, oh, she was stabbed and she died or anything. Like, it was a very iconic moment where she's not just dead, she's gone.
Exactly. She's totally...
You know, there's no burial or anything. Like, she's just gone. Yeah. Gone before her very eyes.
As Unicorn said, she was incinerated.
I can't believe this.
Leave the chat, Unicorn. Get out. Yeah, it was kind of like, and I remember reacting to the episode, and as soon as Pyrrha was like gonna go back and fight Cinder, I was like, oh crap, are they about to kill Pyrrha? Is this seriously about to happen? And yeah, the way they built it up with the massive fight, and then she, her aura went down and she copped an arrow through the Achilles. Ha ha, very funny. And then the whole like, yeah, just shooting her and RWBY witnessing it, and then like literally incinerating her, and she becomes ashes in the wind. So not only did they kill her, but they immediately right then and there removed her from existence. Like, she's not coming back. This is it. Pyrrha's just gone. And it was tough to deal with for everyone, I think. We were like, because, you know, it was Pyrrha. She's such a sweet cinnamon roll of a person, and that was a mean thing that they did. And we were not okay with it. But, you know, they've definitely traumatized us now. And we're just like, we're wise to the fact that, okay, this is a show now where people can die. And whereas before it was, you know, it was just like almost like
positive,
a kid's show.
hopeful.
And then it grew up very quickly. Unicorn, no. Yeah. So... And like then with RWBY activating his silver eyes and all of that, it was all very intense and very, just the opposite of everything RWBY had been up until that point. So yeah, I feel like they're gonna continue to I mean, they follow the fandom very closely. They follow everyone who
Yeah.
watches
Yeah.
the show very closely. They know what we're thinking. They know what we're predicting. So they're constantly trying to do things that we are not expecting, because they know very closely what it is we're talking about and what it is we're theorizing. So they're always
I
gonna
think
try
that's
to do the
even
opposite.
like that's even part of why they had the first reunion was freezer burn, because literally nobody expected that one first.
Exactly.
So like, I don't know, I feel like it's just more evidence that, you know, they want to surprise us.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I remember,
And they're
we were
doing a damn good job at it too.
we watched chapter 1, we were making our predictions, like, oh yeah, Yang and RWBY are gonna reunite first, and then probably Weiss will join them, and Winter will be in there somewhere, and all of that. And then they were like, nope, actually, Weiss is gonna get kidnapped by Raven, we're gonna have a freezer burn reunion, then we're gonna go back to Crow, and they're gonna go to RWBY, and oh, by the way, Blake is still in fucking Menagerie. Yeah, so, you know, they just took what we were predicting and chucked it out the window. So, yeah, we don't have a fucking clue what's going on. So we should stop pretending like we know anything, because we know nothing. Yeah, they sank that ship hard.
What ship?
Maybe, frickin', Arcos.
Oh yeah.
Maybe RWBY and Blake will actually have a conversation. Yeah, that would be nice. They haven't really
They haven't-
interacted.
I swear they haven't talked since season 1.
I don't think they have. Not directly to each other.
I'm talking like episode 2, season 1.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of
Literally-
when the last time Blake and RWBY actually addressed each other was. I can't remember.
Episode 2, 3, 4, whatever, in season 1, when they were having like a sleepover or some shit, and like Blake was like reading a book or something, and then like Yang
Yeah, that was
nudges
when they
RWBY
met.
to go and talk to her. That's like the last like scene I remember of RWBY and Blake actually having a conversation.
I literally can't think of anything else.
Yeah, because literally everything after that was like Blake and Son.
Yeah. Bonsai, I guess, kind of counts, but not really.
Bonsai.
Yeah, there are a lot of moments, like even in volume 2, when they're like planning out what they're gonna do, but like it isn't really like of any substance.
No. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I would like for them to actually have some more one-on-one interaction like we got with Freezer Burn this volume, because that was really nice. But even Freezer
Oh, yeah.
Burn had one-on-one interaction before. Like, they had a fight together.
Oh yeah.
And there was plenty of interaction going on there. But Ladybug, just nothing. That's the last time RWBY directly addressed Blake, was saying Ladybug in volume
Ladybug!
volume 2, chapter 4. That was literally the last time she said a word to her. Oh, no. Oh, that was before that. I was gonna say, Blake, RWBY says to Blake, "You're still thinking about Torchwick," but that was before that, even. So, that was in volume 2, chapter 2. Ladybug is half my OTP. They better get some fucking interaction here. They need to interact more, definitely, because they've hardly said boo to each other since the show started. It's a bit of a problem. So, hopefully, yeah, we get some interaction. But I'm most looking forward to Bumblebee reunion, because it's going to be interesting the way that it will play out.
Especially since Yang is still mad at Blake.
Yeah, she's still kind of pissed.
Yeah.
Understandably, she's got a right to be pissed, you know.
Yeah. She's got a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I'm like, fair enough. You'd be pissed. Blake
She's missing
deserves
one
it.
of them.
Yeah, exactly. Bumblebee plays as Blake and Yang beat the shit out of each other. No, I've said this all along. I feel like it's going to be more of a situation of like Yang slaps her in the face and then hugs her. It's going to be more, especially
Slap her in the face with the human hand, please.
No, the robot
Yeah.
one, just to make it really sting. Yeah, so, but like even with the conversation between Weiss and Yang in chapter, help me, 6, no, 8.
No, 7.
Eight.
You remember this episode so
It was
well.
8, yeah.
Yang didn't even like mention about the fact that she took an arm to protect Blake. So obviously that's not at the forefront of her concern. Yeah, so I feel like it's not going to be... That's not the main issue. The main issue is that Blake took off when Yang really needed her support. Because of this traumatic thing that happened to her, and it happened to her because she was protecting Blake. So, and for Blake to then just piss off, she's understandably angry. So yeah, the Bumblebee reunion will be interesting, and I'm predicting chapter 12 for that now. It's not going to happen next week.
Yeah.
It's too
Yeah,
soon.
I still think that it's going to be another situation where I feel like even the Fall of Haven might be over at the end of chapter 13, just to give them chapter 14 to have, like, because I feel like they need to have that moment of, like, aftermath of the thing, and, like, character moments and all that stuff.
We'll have a better idea
And
once we see chapter 11.
Yeah, I know. I just really want to. I'm anxious because it's all happening.
Because now, before we see chapter 11, we've got no idea about the pacing of the event. But once we see the first chapter, we'll know how the event is going to be paced and roughly how long it's going to take. So we'll be able to have a better idea of when that piece of the event is going to take place. Yeah, and it also depends on, like, the next time we see Blake, is she going to be in Mistral or is she still going to be on the ship? Or is she still going to be in fucking Menagerie? I hope not. I hope the Menagerie arc is wrapped.
I hope all of Menagerie burned.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see
Get us
Menagerie ever
out of
again.
Fucking Menagerie. I never want to see that place ever fucking again. Get rid of it. Get it out of the show. I don't want it anymore. Oh, God, I'm so sick of it.
Lulled by Menagerie.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, I think we've basically covered all our bases here. We've prattled on for long enough.
For a bit.
Just a bit.
Just a tad.
Just a tad. So, yeah, chapter 11, not in 2 days' time. It comes out on the 30th of December. It's the 31st for me, but the 30th for everyone else. And obviously, my chapter 10 reactions are going up this Sunday. Mine is ready to go. Mine actually wasn't claimed. And I did email fan projects about it, but it still hasn't been claimed, which is weird. That's not happened to me this volume. So I've just scheduled it to upload when I want it to go up. I'm terrified that it's going to get blocked at that exact moment. So if it does, it's not shit I can do about it. Doesn't matter, but hopefully it doesn't. And it
That happened. I don't know. That happened to mine last week, and it just I never even emailed fan projects about it, and just on the day before, it just got claimed, and that was it. Like, I never even had to.
Yeah.
So it was fine for me last week, at least.
Well, we said this before, Unicorn, but the reason they have been Rooster Teeth's policy has changed to block first is because there's so many people just re-uploading the episodes, and the only way to tackle that is to just block everything that contains the content.
Yeah.
And then do this sort of workaround for the people who are doing the right thing with the reactions. But the problems we've been having the last week is that the fan projects emails are not getting through. We don't know what the issue is.
Yeah, there was a big email issue.
There hasn't been a statement from Rooster Teeth about it. I don't know if they're even aware of the problem. So, but basically, every time I've tried to email fan projects, I've gotten an automated reply from the Rooster Teeth store. And then
Interesting.
I had trouble with my Chapter 9 reaction. I got it up several days early. And then it just never got unblocked, even though I emailed them twice. And I ended up having to do a dispute through YouTube, which is why it was so late. I'll keep my eye on the Chapter 10 one, and if it gets blocked, I will dispute it, but it can't be out any sooner than it's out.
Tuesday.
I got no control over it.
Yeah, it would probably be Tuesday before, because Monday's
Usually
Christmas.
It takes one business day for them through the dispute process to unblock it for me. So hopefully it stays unclaimed until Sunday. So it at least goes up on time. If it gets claimed at some point, I will just go through the normal channels to get that fixed, but I don't know what's going to happen, so...
Unicorn, it also has to do with the fact that they changed the day, so instead of it releasing on their site 1 day later, it releases for everybody on their site 3 days or 4 days, 3 days later.
3 days later.
Those are 3 days.
And so they're like, they're pushing back on like making it so, you know, if you want to see the episode as soon as possible, become a first member.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's also part of why they're having it's such a like hard line.
Definitely. Yeah, and they're making it available for registered users 3 days after the first members are getting it. So there's always been issues with people re-uploading the episodes just so people can watch them early, even though they don't have the necessary privileges to watch them early. Yeah, so that's the way they've decided to handle it, and it has been working well so far this volume, but we've had problems with the email now, and we're waiting to hear from Rooster Teeth about it. So yeah, exactly, they got to make money off of their content. You know, RWBY is not cheap to produce, so
Not at all.
not at all, not in any sense of the word. So yeah, but anyway, that's what's going on. I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter as to the status of my reaction. Hopefully it goes up on time. Fingers crossed. Yeah, so apart from that, there's no Boopcast next week because there's no episode this weekend. So no Boopcast next week. Boopcast will be back in the 3rd of January. Hey, 3rd of January 2018 is when the Boopcast will be back. And we're not sure who we're having on yet at this stage. We've got to schedule some things, I think, and contact some people.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a couple weeks away, so we've got some time. But, and obviously next weekend there will be no reactions either. But the weekend after that there will be. Wait, will there? There's reaction this weekend. There's no episode next week, so there's no episode this week, so no reaction next week. There's an episode.
The
next
reactions won't be until the
6th of January. 6th of January, yeah, after the next Boopcast. So.
Also, William, are you not caught up on RWBY?
No, he's not seen chapters 7, 8, 9, or 10, as he told me last night on the stream.
Why are you here?
I don't even ask those questions anymore. So yeah, so we'll see you next year. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be next year by the time we come back. Yeah, exactly. Why are you here? You don't even go here.
You don't even go here.
Shut up, Cory. You haven't seen the film. It's a Mean Girls reference.
Yeah, I know it's a Mean Girls reference.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Jerry, for joining us today. Please make sure to go and check out Jerry's YouTube channel and check out his Patreon as well. His battle covers are amazing. I have been following you for a few years now, and just the work he does is incredible. You also stream when you work on arrangements as well, don't you? Yeah, so he does stream.
I do.
Live streams.
Momentarily. I don't have a schedule.
Yeah, no. I don't stick to my own schedule half the time, so yeah, but definitely go and check out his YouTube channel. His stuff is awesome, and yeah, and we will see you next year with the Boopcast. We get to go have a break now.
I know, I'm kind of excited for it.
Me too. I'm so tired. Okay, see ya, everyone.
See ya.
Take care. Stay awesome.